Elizabeth started the sachet water business. The water business was going so well because it was a dry season. Francis was able to complete the first and second semester without financial difficulties because the water business was doing well for them. When Francis was on vacation, Elizabeth agreed for him to join her in the business. But the weather condition was changing, so the business was going down. It was getting to rainy season, so the weather became cold. This made their business go down. Francis was always concerned on how things will be, because he was expecting the business to move as it was. So that they could afford his next semester fees and registration for his final exams. This thoughts was always on his mind when school resumed. They couldn't afford his school fees, so Francis tried calling and contacting some of his old friends and families, but none of them were willing to support. Final year students were to go on a field trip. But Francis knew there was no money, so he didn't inform Elizabeth. He kept on calling and texting family friends, but none of them replied or answered him. The deadline for payment for the trip passed. He couldn't tell Elizabeth. Francis was home alone and was lost in his thoughts. He said to himself, "How long can I stay at burden to Elizabeth? She takes care of everything. She feeds me, pay bills, give me transport to school, and she doesn't want me to work. We have spent all her savings and even the capital for her business. What is going to happen now? Oh goodness, help us." Since business was not going so well for Elizabeth, she decided to go home early on this day. When she got home, she saw Francis sitting. Lost in his thoughts, she asked him, "Francis, why are you home so early? What happened at school?" Francis didn't want to talk, but Elizabeth made him. "Beth," she yelled. "Francis, tell me what's wrong. You know you can tell me everything, right? Are you sick or something?" Francis cleared his throat to talk. "Actually, Elizabeth, I didn't go to school today. I've been home since morning." Elizabeth asked, "What did you say?" Francis continued, "Yes. My class went for a field trip I couldn't pay, so I didn't go." Elizabeth yelled at him, "Have you been paying for anything in this house? Why didn't you tell me?" Francis replied, "Elizabeth, calm down. It was nothing. I'm not a child. You know I am that good. I don't need to go for a field trip before I pass my exams. I don't need it. So it's fine." Elizabeth looked worried, but they had already been done. Francis wanted to cheer her, so he asked her about business. But she didn't answer. He asked again, "Elizabeth, are you okay? You look tired. See, I can prepare hot bath for you. I already prepared food so you can eat later." Elizabeth looked angry, so Francis didn't say anything again. He watched her as she entered the room. Francis said, "Sorry," Elizabeth replied from the room. "You are not forgiven. Make sure you don't lose focus. Do you hear me?" Francis chuckled and said, "Yes, ma'am."